What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22 My Team Career Mode, and this time you join me for the finale of Season 6. We are currently leading the championship by 15 points to Lando Norris. However, due to a control electronics failure in Brazil, we will have to take a 5-place grid penalty, which means we can start this race no higher than 6th if nobody else receives any penalties. But if there are other penalties, then obviously we could start a little bit higher. But yeah, it's going to be an incredibly tense race, I imagine, with Lando Norris on a really good form at the moment. You know, he's been winning a lot of races. He's been right at the front of the field. I was leading the championship by 60 points just a few races ago, and this lead has been absolutely blown apart by how fast Lando Norris has been and how unreliable our car has been. We are 100% changing engine manufacturer next season because this Ferrari has not given me the reliability that I need to be able to finish the races. We've had so many failures that it's actually potentially put our championship at risk when it would have been very comfortable. You know, I could have had it wrapped up 2-3 races ago if it hadn't been for how poor the reliability has been. And we need to get a good result here. We need realistically a 5th place finish, I would say, is what's going to keep us in contention. But that said, even if I get 5th and Norris wins, if he gets fastest lap, he will win the championship by 1 point. However, any other permutation whatsoever, barring, I don't know, like if he comes second, I think, and I come 9th or lower, he will win the championship. So yeah, he needs at least a P2 finish, and I can't finish any higher than 9th if he does finish P2, or any higher than 5th if he finishes first. But he needs that fastest lap as well, so it's going to be a big weekend for him, I imagine. If neither of us get fastest lap, I finish 5th and he finishes first, then I will win on countback because I've won more races this season. We've currently had 9 race wins this season, and with this grid penalty, I would wager to say we will not be adding a 10th to our tally this season, but still 9 over the course of 22 races is not a bad way to go across a single season. And I just hope that we can do decently well in qualifying, so we're not starting on the back foot. You know, obviously we had that grid penalty in, where was it, Mexico, which bumped us down to 18th after we qualified 8th, and that really screwed us over there. And I imagine that if a similar thing happened here today, where I get bumped out of the points, it might be hard to get back into the points. So I want to qualify at least in the top 5, ideally. And that all starts here in Q1. We do a 122.6 on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, and I was thinking that might be good enough to see us through. So in the end, I went out on the same set, and we ended up not improving. We were only about a 10th slower, but we didn't make any improvement, and that was fine because we were in P14. So we made it through just about in 14th place, and we will be taking part in Q2. So yeah, nothing to be worried about there. And Albon P4. Meanwhile, Norris also made it through in P1, so no crazy upsets happening on this occasion, I don't think. We can have a look. Maybe Piastri you could call an upset because he's been on pretty good form recently. But generally speaking, I would say that, you know, it's not really anything particularly shocking going on in Q1. And now we move through to Q2, and we're going to see if we can do a similar thing here. We're going to go on a fresh set of soft compound tyres to start things off. We go on a 122.0, which is the fastest lap at the time that I set it. But then Max Verstappen basically instantly pips me back. I am probably going to go out on the same set of tyres again like I did on the previous occasion. This proved to be not the right decision really, because we were 7 tenths down. But nonetheless, our first lap was so good that we made it through the session quite comfortably in P5. And Alex Albon made it through in P3 as well. I think Norris also made it through the session. We'll find out for certain in a second. Yep, P6 for him. A couple shock exits maybe. Sainz and Ricciardo, the two that you might expect to be through to Q3. And yeah, the Haas of Schwartzman making it through, as well as the Alpine of Ocon in P4. So yeah, very good result for them. Alonso failing to make Q3 in what will be his last ever Formula 1 race. And he was knocked out because he set the time after Zhou Guanyu did. They did the exact same time, and yeah, he just lost out by virtue of going out later than Zhou Guanyu. So yeah, that is Alonso starting 11th in his final ever Formula 1 race. But we are going to see where we're going to start as we set a P2 time 1:21.7 to kick off on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. And we're going to go out on another fresh set. We had 2 remaining for this session. I was quite keen to have that be the case because I knew the track was going to ramp up, and I always do a better lap on my second run typically. So yeah, this was quite important to me, and you can see that we have made a few improvements, but I don't know if it's quite going to be fast enough to match this 1:22.4 that Gasly's done. We're going to need a really good run through these final 2 corners, and we haven't had it. We've actually lost just under a tenth of a second through these final few corners. We improved by about 12 hundredths. It's a 1:21.6, and it is good enough to keep us in P2. So we will be starting, I reckon, P7, or if any penalties are applied to anyone else up and down the field, it might be a little bit higher than that.
But before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who'll be fronting the grid. Gasly, Robinson, and Charles Leclerc. With qualifying wrapped up now, we have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
Norris qualifies P6. So I imagine that he'll be starting P5 after my penalty is applied. But yeah, he is going to have a bit of a task if he wants to if he wants to win this one. You know, he's going to have to cut through 4 very fast cars, including both Red Bulls, Leclerc and Russell as well. So yeah, he's got a lot to do here if he wants to win this race. And I would wager to say that it's going to be difficult for him. But with the pace that he's been showing recently, it's not completely out of the question, you know. I do think that he could very easily do this, especially if there's a little bit of carnage, you know, maybe some incidents, maybe a safety car, you know, there could be anything, and this race is known for throwing up chaos from time to time. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, there's the confirmation of the grid penalties. We will be taking a 5-place grid penalty. I don't know where we'll be starting. I'm pretty sure it's going to be P5, not P5, P7, sorry, because obviously there's a few other cars who might take grid penalties, and yeah, we qualified second, so yeah, we'll see where we start, but hopefully we can hold off Lando Norris for one more race as we now get into the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
So here we are, ready to go racing for one final time this year. Another season of victories, controversies and rivalries lies in our wake. And just one challenge remains, here in the United Arab Emirates, on a circuit that made its spectacular debut back in 2009. Welcome to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Yas Marina circuit is made up of 3.28 miles of track, featuring 16 corners with 2 very long straights. DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both turn 5 and turn 7 offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Pierre Gasly lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Norris, Robinson and Ocon, Schwartzman, Fernando Alonso, Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo, Fittipaldi, Verstappen, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher, Albon, they've taken a grid penalty, Oscar Piastri, Lance Stroll and Guan Yu Zhou, Latifi, Lundgaard, Théo Pourchaire and Yuki Tsunoda. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
We're still in with a shot of this driver's title, and it all comes down to this. Now go out there and come back a champion.
And I would wish to say we actually have a pretty good shot of doing exactly that, because both Verstappen and Albon have had to take penalties. Now, while that does promote Norris up the order to P4, it does promote me up the order as well to P5, so we'll be starting in 5th, and we'll be right alongside Norris at the start, basically. Not quite, obviously, because he's on the row in front. But, yeah, I think that we have a pretty good chance of getting ahead of him, maybe. And hopefully we can maybe even get the jump on him, go around the outside at turn 1 or something like that, and try and hold him off for the remainder of the Grand Prix. But it is going to be tough, and we're going to have to see whether we can get the start that we need to try and overtake him off the start and win this World Championship. The lights go out as I struggle to find my words. This is how nervous I am at this point, and we do not get away as well as Lando Norris in the end. And indeed, we actually get tagged from behind by, I think that was Ocon there, and we lose out not only to him but also to his teammate Alonso, and we have to try and fight off the Haas of Robert Schwartzman as well. We keep hold of P7 for the time being, but Alonso is actually going to size up a move on Ocon there, going to try and go around the outside, but Ocon goes deep. He locks up into the corner, and that allows me to go back past not just Alonso but also Ocon momentarily, who then gets ahead of me again. And yeah, we're going to have to try and get past him because we're currently down in P6, and if Norris can find his way into the lead, which you can see that he has already got ahead of Russell up into P3, we will have to get past Ocon to cement our World Championship title. And even then, you know, it's not guaranteed. We still need to make sure that Norris doesn't get the fastest lap. But as we come through the hairpin here, Ocon is very slow, actually. He has some front wing damage from that initial contact with me. And yeah, that has meant that he's going quite slowly. And as a result, we managed to dive up the inside of him and get back into P5 in this race. And yeah, we are now going to try and see if we can set after this train in front of us. Currently runs as Gasly, Leclerc, Norris and Russell is the top 4, and then myself. But as we move on to lap 5, you can see that actually the gap in both directions has become quite pronounced. Ocon came into the pits to fix that damage, so he is a non-factor in this race. And Schwartzman at the moment is holding off the train of Alonso and Sainz behind, which has meant that I am able to stretch my legs from those guys. But yeah, we are not closing down these guys. Without the DRS, they're in a DRS train, and I'm just nowhere near them and can't keep pace with them as a result. I think if I had the DRS to Russell, I might be able to keep pace to this train in front. But yeah, as things stand, I just can't keep up with them. So I think P5 is the maximum I'm going to be able to get in this race if things stay as they are. Maybe there'll be a safety car later that will allow me back into the fight, I don't know. But yeah, as things stand, I'm just going to have to hope that Norris can't find his way into the lead. As you see on lap 10, the gaps have become even more pronounced. 6 seconds to the car in front, 4 seconds to Schwartzman behind, and almost 10 seconds to Alonso behind him. So yeah, we are not looking like we're going to make any more progress in this race, but we're also not looking like we're going to come under any kind of pressure. So we're going to finish exactly where we really need to cement our position in this championship. But you know, it all comes down to where Lando Norris will finish. The cars in front are coming into the pits: Russell, Norris, and Leclerc. But interestingly, not Pierre Gasly. He has chosen to stay out for another lap, and that could leave him susceptible to an undercut from these guys. We'll find out for certain on this following lap, as Gasly has come in and I have also come in, and I think Schwartzman is coming in with me too. So we'll see who is going to be in the lead of the Grand Prix after the pit stop phase. Will it be Leclerc or will it be Gasly? I don't think it will be Norris unless he can make a move on Leclerc, but it seems like yeah, Norris is stuck here for the time being. It's going to be very tight between the two of them, and yeah, they've briefly gone off the screen, so we'll have to wait and see which one of them has taken the lead here. I will show you a replay of it in just a moment here. And yeah, here you go. So you can see they're pretty much wheel to wheel as Gasly came out of the pits, but surely on his cold tyres he's going to lose out to Leclerc. That actually allows Norris back into the fight, and he goes up the inside of not one but both cars and into the lead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and at the moment he has the fastest lap as well. So if things stay the way that they are in this exact moment, Norris will be taking home the World Championship, and there is not anything I can do about that. You can see me just coming around the corner in the background there. I will not be able to close up this train, and yeah, Lando Norris now leads the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but Pierre Gasly is not giving this one up. He thinks that he is deserving of the win in this race, and I think he's deserving of it too, because if not, then we could be really under pressure in this World Championship. And now Gasly with the DRS is going to pull back ahead of Lando Norris and into P1 in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and move Norris back down to P2 in the Drivers' Championship. So that was very dicey, but at the moment Gasly is still leading the race, and that is allowing us to stay in P1 in the Drivers' Championship. With only 10 laps to go now, things are getting very tense. Just to give you a reminder of the permutations, if things stay the way they are, I will be world champion. If Norris moves into the lead with that fastest lap, he will be world champion. If I get fastest lap, I will win by 1 point, and if neither of us get fastest lap, I will win on countback. So yeah, I just need to make sure that that we hold on to the to this position, and I need Gasly to make sure that he holds on to the lead of the race for a few more laps. Norris still in P2 as Leclerc has had a spin, and that moves him off the podium down into P4. I think he's managed to get going quickly enough that that we're not closing him down. He's about 7 seconds up the road as we come now onto lap 26, and yeah, that hasn't affected the fight at the front any, but nonetheless, yeah, it means that still there is every opportunity for Norris to move into the lead of the race and take the win. He's still got the fastest lap at this moment in time, so yeah, it really is all to play for at this moment in time, and we are going to see if we can do anything to try and close these guys down. But you know, there's only 3 laps to go, and we're 8 seconds to the nearest car, so I really just can't see a world in which we, you know, change position at all at this stage. And all I can hope for is that Gasly can hold on to this position, this P1, for 2 more laps, so we can win the race. He's still holding on. Oh, sorry, not so we can win the race, so we can win the championship, I should say. But yeah, he is still holding on to it for now. But 2 laps left to go. No competition really near them anymore, because Russell has not really closed up the gap to the 2 of them in front, and therefore it is a straight fight between Norris and Gasly. And there is a yellow flag up in front. I don't know if this is for a back marker or for one of the leading pack. We're about to find out, I guess. And it is the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. He is DNF'd from the race, and that promotes us up into P4, which means that as things stand, there is no permutation that will allow Norris to win the World Championship. Even if he moves into the lead of the race, even if he takes the fastest lap as well, he will lose the championship by 1 point, because I will be getting 12 points in this race, and that is all I need to hold on to the championship. And we are on to the final lap now. So yeah, I don't think that this is going to happen for him. He's probably got one more opportunity to overtake Gasly. I don't think he's done it, which means that as we move into the final sector of the final lap of the final race of the season, I think I'm going to hold on to this, provided that we don't make any mistakes in these final few corners. I think that everything is going to work out. Just to add insult to injury, Oscar Piastri steals the fastest lap on the final lap of the race, which means that Norris couldn't have got it even if Leclerc had stayed in the race. Even if he'd won, it still wouldn't have been enough. I was inevitable, and as I round the final corner, I am going to take P4 in this race and become a 3-time world champion. Three times in a row. Ever since I have won, I cannot stop winning. And that feels good.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It might have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level at the very top is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. Victory today then, but bittersweet emotions, I'm sure, as the championship slips through their fingers. Even so, what a fantastic final race of the season this was. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on track was: speed. I know it sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
An immense performance from Pierre Gasly to hold on to the lead of the race and win another race this season. I think he's won 2 or 3 this season, so he's had a pretty strong showing, and I think he'd be pretty happy with that. You know, he, after the season break, I would say probably wasn't a championship contender anymore. Norris comes home in P2, and it is Russell that completes the podium, and Norris would no way be looking that happy on the podium, knowing what might have been if things had just played out a little bit differently here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Wasn't the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. Well, after an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Yuki Tsunoda gets my vote today.
Nothing can challenge the leaders in the Constructors' Championship at this point, but with that result, the sport's newest team can no longer be touched at the top of the table. What an incredible journey this has been for a team many had written off a short time ago. They are the Formula One World Champions. It was also a strong Grand Prix from Haas F1 this weekend. Fantastic work from the American team to move themselves further up the table. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
And there we go. So, in the end, Gasly actually managed to pip Verstappen for P5 in the Drivers' Championship. And Leclerc, if he hadn't had that breakdown, would have managed to pip Albon for P3 in the championship. But yeah, as things worked out, it was Albon who came home in P3 behind myself and Norris, and then Leclerc P4 and Gasly P5, Verstappen P6. So a fiercely competitive season with a number of drivers breaching 200 points, but interestingly, no driver breaching 300 points. I think that's the first time I've seen that in these 6 seasons. You know, when I think back to mine and Leclerc's battle for the World Championship back in season 4, it was, both me and him were ahead of 400 points, and in this one I finished on, I think it was 295 in the end. So yeah, literally none of us ending on that coveted 300 mark. Norris ended up losing out by 9 points. There was no way that he could have won the World Championship here, no matter how hard he tried. It just wasn't his day. The luck did not fall in the favour that he needed it to. And, you know, I gave a pretty good showing of myself, like when I made this move here on Esteban Ocon that you're going to see again. And after that, I mean, it was pretty smooth sailing, you know. I was just running my own race, keeping an eye on everything that was going on around me. And yeah, hoping for the best, and in the end, you know, my efforts were rewarded. Norris couldn't move into the lead of the race. I mean, he did very briefly, but then he got it instantly stolen back. It was about the only time anyone did make an overtake for the lead of the race, was when he overtook Gasly, and then Gasly instantly re-overtook him. Not a very interesting Grand Prix in terms of overtakes, but they never are, you know. But at least we had the championship drama to carry us through this a little bit. And yeah, that is the conclusion of the season. It's our 2nd Constructors' Championship in a row, and our 3rd Drivers' Championship in a row. So yeah, a really strong result for the team. We don't win the rivalry with Charles Leclerc somehow, which means that we'll be starting next season on a slightly lower difficulty. But yeah, I don't really have too much more to say other than that. I think we'll be keeping hold of Albon. You'll have to wait till the next video to find out for certain, but I'm pretty happy. I'm definitely going to try and re-sign him. Whether he chooses to re-sign is another thing. And yeah, we're going to see if we can win our 3rd Constructors and 4th Drivers' Championship as we move into the final season coming up next. But that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure that you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.